grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name's Justin B., and I'm the son of an all-powerful, perfectly loving God and a qualifying addict living in the miracle of one day at a time recovery, and I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, take a minute. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life these days.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nikki M. And in this moment, I'm really grateful. Justin and I are at the table, at the Noodle table, at the Rico 12 table where we do what we do. And, we just got a few minutes of chit-chatting and going deep with each other. And I realized I'm not alone. Justin said, "How are you?" And I said, well, yesterday I was like, it's not a good day to be on planet Earth. And today I'm grateful to be on planet Earth. So I'm remembering I get a daily reprieve. I'm remembering that I'm not alone. I have Justin who didn't look at me and go, "Oh, that's a weird thing. You might need a doctor." He said, "Oh, me too." He said, "Me too." And so I'm just grateful. And I know we have purpose here. And Justin, a lot of people message me and say this podcast helped them, or they were listening to last week's episode, or they sent our number 2. I think we're at like 100 and almost 40 episodes now, and they've sent it to their sponsee, episode number 3. So we have purpose. And if this is what we leave behind for all the still suffering addicts and their family, it's enough for me today. I'm just filled with gratitude.
Left myself on mute. Yes, it would be enough. And I'm very grateful to be able to do this with you, Nikki. For those of you out there in the listening world, what this is what we do. We take a question from our lives, from people we're working with, from situations that we're in that people ask, and bring them to the Big Book. And Nikki helps us noodle them out. What we're doing today is we're taking a question that was brought up too late in the Rico 12 speaker meeting that was held on just yesterday. With Robert P. as the guest speaker, and I posted it in the Rico 12 chat, and it kind of grew some legs, and we're going to do some additional deep diving on that in this session here. So sit back and grab a pencil, highlighter, pen, whatever it is, your big book, and let's go through this and make it happen. I also want to put out there that I'm very grateful for donations that are coming in for the Rico 12 project and family of resources that we have here. If your higher power is sitting on you and saying, "Hey, you got a couple of bucks or a couple $100, whatever it looks like to throw Rico 12's way," the links are in the show notes of the podcast. You can go to rico12.com/support. We're grateful for any support that comes our way. Thank you so much. All right, let's jump into this question, and I think it's it's one that put all sorts of red flags up in my mind as the question, as I read the question. So let's see where the Big Book takes us, Nikki. The question is this: I have a sponsee who's sober for 14 years, and this sponsee is still living with their partner of 25 years. Their partner drinks and wants to have an affair. How would you guide this sponsee in this situation? Nikki, what does the book say?
Wow. I think it says a lot. And I love this question. And I am part of the Rico 12 family. And I answered it in the chat. So I'll go kind of deeper into my answer from yesterday when it was in there. And again, I just want everyone to remember too, the 7th is important. So if you can be part of this, and remember, we spend a lot of money on our addictions. Let's spend some time and effort and some pocket change on our recovery. So a sponsee sober. Now, I want to know, how sober are they? That's the real question. They may just not be drinking, because let's go to my response here was Their job is to be at a place where you can be of maximum helpfulness to others. So my question to the sponsee immediately when they ask me is like, wow, is this helpful? Because you're telling me that you were with somebody and you love them. I see that. It says, okay, let me go deeper. It says page 120. We never, never arrange a person's life. So you're working this program. You are not arranging your partner's life. You're letting them drink. You're still, you're loving them unconditionally. This is beautiful. But is this helpful? Because what I'm hearing too is that any life, page 60, run on self-will can hardly be a success. Now, I go deep with my sponsees, Justin, when we read this line, page 60. I think it's page 60. I don't even have my book out, but any life, and it says any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. So when I say, hi, I'm Nikki M and I'm a soul surgeon. Hi, I'm Nikki M and I'm a soul surgeon. Why? Because I know that any life, because, oh yeah, there it is. It's on page 60. The first requirement is that that's me and Justin, that's you, sponsee, who's been sober for 14 years, be convinced. That means 100% without a doubt that any life run on self-will, that includes Nikki M, can hardly be a success. So now I put on my watch glasses because that's what it tells us on page 84. We are to watch. And I'm watching not only myself, I'm watching others. Why? This is a big dance right now, everybody. Page 55. Deep down in every man, woman, and child is a fundamental idea of God. So I'm watching all the gods on the planet Earth running around, Justin, right? So I'm looking at all these gods running around and I'm going, that's not run by self-will. That's not God. That's not helpful. That's not God. So now I can look that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. So your job is to be helpful. We're not arranging anyone's life. Page 120, we never, never arrange a person's life. So now I need to use discernment. I have to use discernment. Is this self-will? A partner who wants to drink and wants to have an affair. Now, it sounds like the drinking isn't our, some of our Al-Anon friends or some of people in all the programs. It's not like you're having a glass of wine with your steak dinner and you're leaving it and going home. This sounds like someone who's drinking, blotting out the consciousness, page 20, I think it's 5, Justin, blotting out the consciousness of their existence with drinking. And then what happens when you do that, everybody? And I want you to come in after this thought, Justin, and we'll do more, which is page 559. It's in the stories. And I love the way our magic book is written because page 559 says, above all, we reject fantasizing and accept reality. The more I drink, the more I think, the more I eat, the more I sex, the more I work, the more I obsess about money and life and go on deeper, the more I fantasized everything. You see what's happening here, Justin? So their partner is very, in my experience, strength, and hope, because it says we're not to have opinions on outside matters. That's tradition 10. So I don't have an opinion, but from my experience, strength, and hope, this person's very sick. If my partner wants to have an affair, that's not helpful. If I'm in a spirit world, let's go deep, Justin, come in, because this is definitely in the sex and love addictions, and I know you and I qualify for those rooms.
Yeah, and I love how you took us to page 559. Above all, we reject fantasizing and accept reality. Reality is not, this is my experience, strength, and hope. When I start thinking, well, I just want to step out and go do something with somebody else, that is not reality. That's fantasy. That is, reality is I'm married. I have children. I have a whole life here that I would be walking out on, thinking that nothing there would be no consequence to it. Well, even there is a consequence, and that consequence is that I become my integrity gets out of whack. My, all of these spiritual principles that I'm claiming to try to live by become, well, hypocritical, and I'm not doing that, and then I lose whatever power I have, or whatever power I receive from my higher power to do those things. And yeah, I really appreciate this moving to this fantasy versus reality, because I need to make sure that my feet are firmly on the ground in this, and in reality. I am committed to my wife. If not, like you said, is it helpful? Is it helpful to for my wife to stick around if all I'm doing all day is fantasizing and running away? Well, maybe not. Maybe that's when that decision needs to be made. It's not helpful for me to stick around with you, so I'm going to step away. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Any other feedback, Nikki?
Yeah, lots. Because what I'm hearing, like you just said, like that would mean that if your wife allowed that to happen, that means that she doesn't have a new attitude. You see what I mean? So the sponsee's asking about this. So let's all roll over to page 72, because it says, having made a personal inventory. Well, Nikki, I've been sober for 14 years and I did my step 4. You do this every day, sponsee. Every day you work all 12 steps. So every day I make a personal inventory. Where am I at fault? Where am I to blame? The inventory is mine. What should I have done instead? We get it all down on paper, are the exact instructions. And now that we've done this personal inventory and we do it every day and it's a working part of our mind, it says, new sponsee, we've been trying to get a new attitude. Where is your new attitude? 14 years sober. You live for the creator of the universe. You are page 49, an intelligent agent spearhead of God's ever advancing creation. Page 163, you have tapped power. Where's your new attitude that you want to spend time with a partner who wants to put their fantasy, attention, their love, their energy, their frequency into someone other than you? You use the word partner. It says we have been trying to get a new relationship on page 72. We're still on it with our creator. Where is your new relationship with your creator? Where is the love? Where is the responsibility? Now, I know in some cultures they have 4 wives and 5 wives and they're polygamous, and I'm not judging, but in 2026, having more than one wife, number one, how can you afford it? Number 2, how the hell do you have the energy? This is 2026. Everyone's got to work 5 million jobs and oh, it's just crazy right now, everyone. Like this is where's my relationship with my creator? Any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. So you have to go deep with yourself, because it says, and you're trying to discover the obstacles in your path. Sounds like lust is the obstacle in your past, not another woman or a man. I don't know if this is a man or a woman. Maybe you have an open relationship. That's fine too. Then if you do, why are you asking the question? You see what I mean? Where is your discernment? After 14 years in the rooms, where is your relationship with the creator? Where is your new attitude? Go deeper and get into our other podcast where we go line by line with Mr. David G from Oklahoma. And he has burned it into the consciousness of every man that we need a new belief system, because capital self-seeking, capital self-pity, capital self-delusion, capital self-fear is the problem. So you understand, because it says, we have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. And your question here is, let me get back to it. Justin's so kind to put it in the chat. How would you guide a sponsee in this situation when their partner wants to drink and have an affair? Where is God? Where is your new belief system? I'm going to share some experience, strength, and hope. My partner, after 7 years, I have a belief system, right? I wanted to get married or I was going to kill myself and kill my lover. And I wanted to legally get married. And I wanted to have that paper and all that good stuff. Now, from the day one, the man I'm with said he doesn't believe in that world. Now, go deeper. Now I'm here and it's 7 years later. My belief systems have changed too. Now, just because I don't have a legal piece of paper, Justin, am I going to run out and allow, you know what I mean, go meet someone else or go start having an affair? No, I have a new belief system. That's my person, my partner. I will sit and trust God because you people have page 98 burned into the consciousness of me that I'm going to get well regardless of a piece of paper, regardless of anyone. So if my values, my new belief system don't line up with that, do I have a new attitude? Yes, I have a new attitude. I'm in the spirit world. What is a piece of paper going to do? It was like the Vax Pass. What's that going to do? Where did the Vax Pass go? But I digress. Obviously, I still have some resentments. We'll talk about it later. So what is that going to do? You understand where I'm going here, Justin? And it's not that my partner's saying, Nikki, I didn't want another partner. He's literally saying, I'm in a spirit world. Now, have I met him in his frequency in that belief system? Yeah, I have. I've grown along spiritual lines. And so if it was different or if he wanted to go out and do something else, I'll be honest, that's not for me. But do I just sit and then I allow? I think that's abuse, Justin. I'm sorry. I have to give some experience. I think that's abusive. If you are in a program, and I see you shaking your head, you're going to come in here when you are with God and you are going to allow your partner to go and make love to another person, be intimacy with that is some people, many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. That's insanity.
Yeah, and I agree it's abusive. Even if I were to say, hey, yeah, go ahead and do that. I'm wired in such a way to where I would just be miserable with the whole situation and feel like abusive. I think I would feel like I was being abused, taken advantage of, unappreciated, whatever that may look like. And I just I don't know where to go with that. It's just it's just something that I couldn't do.
I think we need to go to the promises with that, Justin.
Let's do it.
Put your mind around, like, what promise does that mean? Like you just said, like, where is that the promise of working a 12-step program and you're sober for 14 years and you're living with someone whose life is run on self-will and who wants to do basically the opposite of what we're doing here, which is not helpful. So, and it says, how would you guide the sponsee in the situation? What about turning the questions? What promises would you do, Justin, as we noodle this out? What would you go to, like the step 9 promises and then turn them into a question, which it's like, do you have a new happiness and freedom? Like I'm looking at the step 9, like it says, if we're painstaking about 14 years of our development, are you amazed right now? Like I would ask Justin, like you maybe turn that into questions like, is this a new freedom and a new happiness for you that your husband or your person or your wife is going to have an affair? Does this give you serenity? Does this give you peace? Will this experience of letting your partner who's drinking and wants an affair, will that benefit others?
Yeah, I think those are great things to go to and go to those promises and just say, hey, I love that idea of turning them into questions. Let's ask these. Is that helpful? Is that this way do I feel as though I've been placed in a position of neutrality in this situation, safe and protected? I wouldn't feel safe and protected. I'd feel unsafe and disregarded and even attacked even. So, yeah, this is good to take those promises and make them into questions.
Yeah, because here it is. Let's go deeper, everyone. And this is what you just said. And I'll go to the step 12. It says, life will take on new meaning. Now, is this the new meaning of your life after 14 years sober? That's why I love our partner, David Green. And he said, like, after 25 years sober, Is that what life means? Acting out, even though he's 25 years sober from alcohol and drugs, but he was acting out in different ways. Like, this is a good question for our Mr. David G. And it says to watch people recover, to help others, and to watch loneliness vanish. Would your loneliness vanish if your partner is out having an affair? I mean, this is now comedy hour. I think we should now turn Noodle with Nick, with the Noodle and Nikki podcast here into a. This should be a comedy episode. Actually, we need a visual for this, Justin, because it's like, uh, this. It says here, this is an experience you must not miss. I want to miss that experience. It's like, is that a bright
Yeah,
spot in your life?
man. Yeah, it's so powerful to go through those promises in this situation. I'm glad that inspiration came to your mind, Nikki, and I think that's really powerful and important for each of us to consider if we're in a place where we're debating on something that is this that maybe we're being convinced, hey, this is okay. Well, is it? Let's go look at those promises and turn them into questions. Is this okay? And if not, we go back to that. Is it helpful? What do I need to do to protect myself from this not being helpful and take those action steps? So before I wrap this up, Nikki, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I want to apply it to everybody, to the drinkers out there. After 14 years sober, is it helpful to dot, dot, dot? After 14 years off of sugar, is it helpful, dot, dot, dot? You know, after 14 years of being disciplined and because Justin, remember, you know, you and I sponsor a lot of people who I mean, I have a sponsee. Well, she did a Rico 12 with you, our Eva C. She was sober for 19 years off alcohol and cocaine. And then one bright day or one sunny day, you know what it says in the book, she decided it was a good idea to pick up a crack pipe. And so after you see what I mean, this is radical. So you gotta, this is about staying awake. And how do we do that? It's a we, not me program. We're people who would not normally mix. But then it says here, and this is why we don't leave. And then I'll give you the final thought, but I'll give the final reading here, Justin, because we're learning this too every day. And I'm grateful that you continue to show up, everybody. Justin shows up at Rico 12 to put these recordings out. I don't know how to even do any of this. And if it weren't for Justin, we wouldn't have this resource. So I'm just grateful that God is using you. But it says right here, we realize we know only a little. And that God, and what does that mean, everybody? That means that humility, trust, love, forgiveness, responsibility, gratitude, promptness, praising the good in others, God, doing those things, living the spiritual principles, it will constantly disclose more to you and us. So, new friend who is asking us this question, are you asking God, Him, the spiritual principles? Are you asking your power in your morning every day? Every day, you never get a day off in your morning meditation. What you can do each day for the man, and that includes you, friend, who is still sick. We only get a daily reprieve. See, if you're doing this every day and you don't need us, we're just giving you some experience, strength, and hope. And I hope this podcast reaches you. But the answers will come if your own house is in order. And you cannot transmit something you haven't gotten. So are you in sobriety? Have you, page 14, turned all things over, including your partner, to the Father of light who resides in us all? And are you seeing that your relationship with the spiritual principles, with humility, with gratitude, with trust, with restitution, with being active and zealous in your life is right? And if you do that, my friend, great events will come to pass. This is a fact. And I need this reminder because it's hard to walk this path every day, Justin. I cannot do this life alone. Page 59, without help, it's too much. But there is one who has all power. And I'm going to stay in the now. And I'm going to find that power right now. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Nikki. And I just have one invitation to make that Nikki brought up that I think is really powerful, and it's something that I will be putting into practice today. Also, go through those promises, any of the promises in the big book, and put them into a question form. Am I experiencing this? If not, why not? If this experience or this thing that's troubling me right now doesn't fit into those promises, what do I need to do to change things? What do I need to do to make that happen? And seek that inspiration as we work our step 11 to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand God, and take action on that. So that's my thought on this. Thank you, Nikki, for your time. Thank you for these insights. This is very helpful for me today. I hope it's helpful for all of you out there in the listening audience. Keep coming back, everybody. It works when you work it. So work it. You are worth it.